we had a lot of fun this week.
It was a good show.
All right, let's finish strong. We got another hour. The Brooklyn Nets look human for the first time in the series, dropping 1 to the Bucks in Milwaukee. KD at a team-high 30. James Harden absent again. It was a low-scoring affair, though, guys, 86-83. Steve Nash believing their offense, hard to believe, but their offense was the issue.
It's interesting that we lose a game because of our offense, but it was just a tough game. We just couldn't find a rhythm.
Max, just like we all predicted, the Nets offense would struggle.
Their defense would show up.
Right? Is that why they lost?
Yeah, of course. Look, as Stephen A. mentioned it earlier, Joe Harris is not going to miss a million shots. He's one of the best shooters in the game. Kevin Durant was missing. Kyrie did not have his best game. And beyond all of that, they didn't have James Harden. Without James Harden, how to put this? He creates more high percentage shots than anyone ever, because you have to include him in that percentage. You know, Ben Simmons will create high percentage shots for others, and he can take it in the paint and everything, but can't shoot at all. Harden can shoot from everywhere. He can get his own shot at historically elite levels, and he can convert those shots at historically elite levels from anywhere on the floor. And he creates high percentage shots for his teammates at historically elite levels. So you add that to this mixture of talent, the most talented team of all time, with D'Antoni on the bench. Like, think of who's on that bench. Steve Nash, Mike D'Antoni, and James Harden. Mike D'Antoni has a system. First, he ran it to near perfection with Steve Nash. Then he tweaked it and ran it with James Harden. That team is built to run that system with Harden as the head of the snake and these dudes as the weapons. And when they do that, it's a joke. They're so good, even without him, they'll beat the Bucks. But we're talking about last night, the offense lacked cohesion. It lacked their point guard, particularly down the stretch of that game. It lacked a game plan. And with James Harden, they have that, and they're unbeatable.
As I religiously say, you're wrong, but what else is new? Last night in Milwaukee, the referees allowed the level of physicality they didn't allow in the first two games. It was back in Milwaukee. Milwaukee tried to big boy them because they know that's your only chance. That's why P.J. Tucker got in KD's face and all of this other stuff. These are the kind of things that happen when you're going up against a juggernaut that's relatively a finesse team, and you know skill-wise you simply can't hang with them. What do? You get physical. This is why the Pistons and everybody when people was complaining about the Pistons, but the Pistons were the bad boys and relished that title. And then the NBA tried to modify the rules, but then Pat Riley comes, and first you inherit the Ken Bannisters of the world. Remember him? And then after that, you got Charles Oakley, Xavier McDaniel, Charles Smith,
Anthony Mason,
and the Hoku God rest his wonderful soul. You got all of that going on, even with John Stark.
Derek Harper.
Derek Harper, but these brothers were no punks. And so you got physical. And what did people say? It was unattractive, making the game more physical, not as appealing to the viewing eye, blah, 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 blah. And a lot of people think that had a lot to do with the insurgence of European players coming to the NBA. I don't believe that for 1 second. I think they took him to Barcelona. It was always Commissioner David Stern, God rest his soul, his vision to really globalize the sport of basketball, and they successfully went about the business of doing it, and major props to them. Having said all of that, last night, they got physical, and they were allowed to get physical, and that knocked them off a little bit. But I ask you this question, Max Kellerman, and it doesn't require an answer. A simple nod will do. Kevin Durant played with James Harden at the very early stages of James Harden's career. Kevin Durant is a 27-point-per-game scorer on 49% shooting and 38% from three-point range. Did most of that come with James Harden without not being his teammate? I believe it did. How about Kyrie Irving? He's a career 22.8 to be exact, but basically a career 23-point-per-game scorer who's averaged at least 24 to 25 a game over the last several years. This is his first season playing, and by the way, he's a career 47% shooter from the field. This particular season is his first with James Harden. If I'm correct, I think I'm correct in saying that, right?
Kyrie?
Yes, this is his first year.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say is that the kind of things that you're talking about with James Harden are not false, but they're still somewhat irrelevant because the greatness of a KD and the greatness of a Kyrie Irving, they make high and low percentage shots.
Yeah.
They make contested and uncontested shots. So the point that I'm trying to make is that even though James Harden is as skilled as he is, and when he's on the floor and Kyrie's willingness to defer and make sure he's the point guard and Kyrie will be the scoring guard, play the role in how these Nets look, it doesn't take away from the reality that when James Harden is not there, you're not asking KD and Kyrie to do something they didn't build their careers on and are accustomed to doing.
Let me put it another way.
That's all it is.
Let me put it another way. If James Harden were playing, did they lose that game last night?
Well, I don't think so, but what I'm saying to you is
That's
this.
what I'm saying.
Wait a minute. There are times in James Harden's career, Kyrie Irving's career, KD's career, where you take a night off.
Yeah.
No. This discussion that we're having now, I stand down, Max, if Milwaukee comes back and do the same thing in Game 4. It's not a big deal for one game.
I don't know if they'll do it,
for one game.
Look.
I'm just saying it's one game.
The Nets aren't losing this series.
No, I'm not talking about the series. I'm just talking about the game.
It may happen in another game.
It's not going to happen in another game.
I think it could happen in 2 out of these.
It's not going to happen in another game.
6 games.
It's not going to happen
without Harden.
that.
I'll point
if they
out.
lose, it's going to be them scoring over 100, is what I'm saying.
Look,
They ain't gonna score 83
I
again.
was never the biggest Harden fan, but I saw what he did. But I wasn't anti. It's just, I thought he choked, but he was normally a great player.
I don't believe
but
he choked.
I understand. We
Right.
used to debate about
Right.
that. But I'll say this. Once Harden became a real point guard, when he didn't have to worry about scoring 50 to win anymore, and he had weapons like KD and Kyrie, and he could orchestrate the offense, he went from averaging 34, 36 points a game to, with Brooklyn this year, not even 25 points a game. But it was the best I've ever seen him play. His mastery of the offense was almost comical. And with James Harden, they almost never lost. But Kyrie and KD, they didn't have a great record without Harden. I know it's regular season. I know they're better than the Bucks even without him. If Harden is the thing that makes this team completely unbeatable. They're unbeatable if Harden's there. When he's not there, they're more beatable.
Well, again, and the reason why I say this, they won games 1 and 2 without Harden. So you don't lose game 3.
Yeah, but only by like 45 points.
But you don't lose game 3 because you don't have Harden. If you won games 1 and 2 because you have Harden. You lost game 3 because essentially the physicality got to you and you took a night off.
Yeah.
Offensively.
Yeah, you were missing shots.
You took a night.
86 also is the lowest points we've had in a win of any game all season.
Took a night off.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen
Weird.
again.
It was a weird
Offensively.
game.
Yeah.
Solid.
On either
A
side.
weird game. It was out of the 90s.
If they lose again, it won't be because they scored 83 points. I
Yeah.
promise you that.
The Nets offense should never be the issue. Speaking of offense, Mike D'Antoni wants to coach the Blazers. And folks, when I tell you Stephen A. Smith has some thoughts on that, ew boy, do not miss.
Trae Young is something special. He is on the verge of superstardom because the biggest stage is what he loves.
Luka is as likely a candidate to be the best player in the game at this moment as anyone.
76ers don't win game 2. This series is over.
We're going to talk Cowboys next. Are they the best team in the NFC? Do they have the best offense?
You
Stephen
said
A.
Cowboys at best. You made me laugh.
Yes.
This is your point guard.
This is for me.
I just want to be very clear about it.
Yes.
It's perfect. I can't even argue. It's perfect.
Thank you very much.